going live, and you are looking live at sold out Yankee Stadium. Remember, the Giants played their home games at Yankee Stadium from 1956 to 1973. So you are looking live at sold out Yankee Stadium, where today the 16-0 and playoff bound New York Giants will be taking on the 0-16 Dallas Cowboys. And why are the Dallas Cowboys 0-16? Because they suck. Welcome to the Gridiron. Anybody out there at all going to spend a little bit of time with me here this evening? I greatly appreciate it. Thank you so much. Or if anybody's going to spend any time at all watching any of the replay of this, once again, thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. It means the absolute world to me. Thank you. I'm going to try to go about 30 minutes here tonight, shoot my mouth off for about 30 minutes. Anybody got anything to say, please feel free, fire away, throw it in the chat box. I usually check on the chat box like every 5 or 10 minutes or so. So if something gets put in there, I try to, as soon as I see it, I try to respond to it as fast as I can. So please feel free, fire away. Plus, sometimes it's nice to, talk to somebody else, instead of me just rambling on and on and on. So anything to say, please feel free, fire away. Before I get started, anybody wants to help support my channel out, it would mean the absolute world to me. In the description box below, there's a top link. It takes you to my membership page. I got 3 different membership levels. The first membership level is called the Saquon. The second membership level is called the Lawrence Taylor. And the third membership level is called the Gridiron. Each one has their own little perks to them. So if you want to, help me out and help support my channel, it would mean the absolute world to me. If you are subscribed to my channel, thank you. If you're not, please go down below, hit the subscribe button and the bell icon. That way, next time I go live or put a video out, you'll be notified. And it's free of charge. What do you got to lose? So if you are, once again, thank you so much. I greatly appreciate it. If you're not, please just go down below, hit the subscribe button and the bell icon. And it would help my channel out. It would mean so much to me. Thank you. And finally, in the description box below, okay, there's 2 Facebook links. Okay, the top one takes you to my Facebook group. Okay, right now we have over 2,700 members in the group. Okay, I try every day, 7 days a week, to try to put like about 10 different items or so in there every day, whether it's a video, a post, a picture, something making fun of the Eagles or something making fun of the Cowboys, whatever I can do. Right. And if you become a member, not only do I post stuff in the group, but the members post stuff in there too. So if you go and you become a member of the group, it's called the New York Giants, the Gridiron, right? There's a ton of New York Giants information that goes in there pretty much every day. Then the second Facebook link takes you to my Facebook page. It's called the New York Giants, the Gridiron, but it's my page. Okay, I'm the administrator. I'm the only one who posts anything in there, but it's pretty much the same thing. Okay, I try to every day. I try to 7 days a week. I try to put a bunch of stuff in there every day. As I said, same thing, whether it's a video, a post, a picture, something showing some stats, something making fun of the Cowboys or the Eagles. I don't usually make fun of the Redskins because they're pretty much a joke themselves. But it's so much fun making fun of the Eagles. Let me tell you what. Right now I'm trying to download, and it's just taking so long. I'd say a video of the Giants Cowboy game from 1980. I call it like a fantastic finish. I got like a little series that I put out there like once a month about Giants fantastic finishes in Giants history. So right now it's like a 15-minute long video, and it's taking about 3 days to download. But I'm slowly but surely trying to get this to download onto my Facebook page. So if you go to the page, you like it and you follow it, and you go to the group and become a member, between the 2, okay, you get a ton of New York Giants information every day. And like I say, if you're not satisfied, you get your money back guaranteed. All right, with all that stuff said and done, all out of the way with the 5 worst draft classes in New York Giants history. And for the most part, it's nothing recent history. I mean, because with the event of the Combine and the Senior Bowl and the East-West Shrine Game, and each team has 300,000 scouts that goes to every game and this, that, and the other thing, you get to interview the players and this and that. You got guys just watching hours and hours and hours of tape on each guy, and each scout goes out to the families and the people who go to school with these guys and ask them what kind of players, what kind of people they are. I mean, it's come so far compared to what it was back in the day, right? It's really changed a lot, and if the draft classes that I'm going to go over, the ones who were really bad, the Giants had, if they occurred nowadays, the whole scouting department will get fired. I mean, that's just the way it is. I mean, it's like, it also goes to show you like how a lot of times, like back in the day, like the draft sometimes, it was really, a lot of it was really like hit or miss, really. A lot of misses. So if you're lucky, some scouting departments were like better than others, but if you did not have a good scouting department, like kind of like the Giants did back in like the 70s and all that and everything, they did a lot of trading, it was because you had a known commodity. It's like, well, we need a running back. Let's go to the Vikings. The Vikings have 3 running backs. Just saying, right? Let's see if they're interested in maybe trading for this one running back. He's a known commodity. We know what he can do in the NFL. He's successful. He should be successful with us, So let's see if we can work out a deal. They got an extra running back. Let's give him a draft pick. And, so they did a lot of trading back. So they lost a lot of draft picks, many. They traded away a lot of picks for like quarterbacks. That was one of the problems the Giants had. They didn't draft a quarterback. Okay. They drafted Charlie Connerly, 1948, I believe it was. Okay. He was, I think he was an All-American in college. But after, and Connerly was with the Giants from 48 to 61. But after that, they had a trade for Y.A. Tittle. They had a trade for, after that, after Tittle retired at 64, 65, and 66, they had Earl Morrall. I believe they had a trade for him. Then after Morrall was gone, they had a trade for Fran Tarkenton, right? And then they had, after Fran Tarkenton left after 71, they traded Fran Tarkenton back to the Minnesota Vikings where he came from. And then in return, they got Norm Snead. Then when they found out Norm Snead was the answer, they had a trade for the Dallas Cowboys to get Craig Morton. Then the Giants, I guess they wound up getting, the Fab Three. They had Jerry Goldstein, Randy Dean, and Joe Pisarcik for like 2 years, I think it was. 77 and 78. And then finally they drafted Phil Simms. So you could go from like 48 to 79 where the Giants just did not draft a quarterback where they could win, right? And so a lot of it, they had a lot of trades. They had a lot of trades, to acquire guys. So, so unlike today, nowadays the draft picks are like gold. It's like, you gotta really, get something special for them draft picks. They're worth a lot nowadays compared to like what they were back in the day. So I got 5 draft classes. Okay. There's one honorable mention. Okay. Which is the first draft class ever. All right. That's my honorable mention one of being like the worst one. So we got to go back to 1936. That's the first year of the draft. Okay. We're going to go all the way back. And this one would be higher on the list. Okay. But however, we did draft. All right. What was it? Was it 9 guys? Yeah. 9. There was 9 rounds. Okay. We drafted all 9. But out of the 9, only 3 of them ever actually played football for the Giants. Or actually played football. My bad. But this class would probably be worse. Okay. But one of the guys we drafted was in the second round. Tuffy Lehman's. Okay. Is in the Hall of Fame. Okay. But the first pick we ever drafted. Okay. In the first round, 1936 draft. Okay. Was a tackle. Okay. A guy named Art Lewis. Okay. That's the first pick the Giants ever had. He played 1 season for the Giants. First pick ever. First round. Okay. He was a tackle, right? He played, I guess, apparently right tackle. He played in 12 games. Okay. Had 9 starts. and never played another. And then he played 2 more seasons in the NFL. Both of them were for the Cleveland Rams. All right, and then he was out of football. So the first draft pick ever, first round, first pick, 1 season with the Giants. Okay. The thing which makes this draft class here, okay, just an honorable mention, it would probably be a little bit worse, but in the second round, we drafted Tuffy Lehmans, okay, who wound up playing from 1936 to 1943 with the Giants, okay, and he's in the Hall of Fame, okay. The third rounder never made it in the pros, okay. Our fourth rounder, Gene Rose, okay, he was an end. He played 1 season. That was it. 7 games he played? Yeah. He played 7 games for the Giants. Okay. So our first pick ever and our 4th round pick. Is it the 4th? Is that what I said? The 4th round pick? The 4th round pick played 7 games. Okay. And our first round pick played 12 games. And that was it for the. And our second round went to the Hall of Fame, but the third rounder never made it in the pro, never played a game. The 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th rounder never played at all. I mean, it was a real crapshoot back then. Really, really a big crapshoot. Then as time started going on, okay, they started getting more and more rounds. They had up to one point in time, up to 32 rounds they had. 1940 was 22 rounds. Okay, up to 43, there was 32 rounds. 44, there was 30. 45, there was 32. 46, there was 30. I'm not sure why. I guess every odd number of years, there's 32 rounds, I guess. 47, there's 32 rounds. 48, there was 30. So I guess it seems like every other odd year. Yeah, so at one point in time, there was 32 rounds. Could you imagine sitting in an NFL draft for 32 rounds? Holy cow. But just to go to show you, I mean, it's such a crapshoot. And this isn't even one of the drafts. I just stopped on this one right here. 1953, there was 30 rounds. Okay. Looks like the Giants pretty much had every pick. Oh, actually, they had 2 in the 10th round. So looks like they had at least, I'm going to say, at least 31 picks. All right. And I just stopped on this one. Out of the 31 picks, only 6 of them made it in the NFL. Okay. Let's see. I mean, one of them. Oh, okay. 2 of them. I'm surprised this isn't even on my list. 1953 is the horrible season here. Oh, you know why? It's 1953. In the 27th round, we drafted Roosevelt Brown. He's in the Hall of Fame. But I mean, they drafted 31 guys, and only 6 of them made it in the NFL. I mean, just horrible. I mean, it was a real crapshoot. I mean, nowadays, I mean, if you drafted 30 guys, I mean, that's just too many. Many guys couldn't possibly make a team. But I mean, nowadays, if you went out and you drafted 30 guys, I mean, you darn near make sure at least half of them are going to wind up making your football team. Some of them, some of these first rounders, like some of them don't even play for the Giants. We got a 1972. Okay, that's the 5th worst team, 5th worst draft class of all time. The Giants in 1972 had 2 first-round picks. Okay, both of them lasted 3 seasons. All right, Eldridge Small was the first pick for the Giants in 1970. He was pick number 17. He lasted 3 seasons. He was from Texas A&M Kingsville, that school powerhouse. Oh yeah, Texas A&M Kingsville. Oh yeah. He was a defensive back. He played in 3 games. He played 34 games for the Giants in 3 seasons. Okay. He had 1 interception, which I believe was in his final season, 1974. So he played 72, 73, 74. I believe, if I remember correctly, the interception was against the Cowboys in 1974. The Giants actually won that game. It was one of the 3 times. Giants beat the Cowboys 3 times in the 70s. 1974, the game in Dallas was the 3rd time the Giants beat the Cowboys. The rest of the 70s, from 75 on up, the Cowboys beat the Giants every time. But anyway, Eldridge Small, 1 interception, played 3 seasons for the Giants, and he was out of football. That was it. Gone. Right. I'm not sure if they tried to trade him away. I don't remember, and he didn't make the other team. But our second number one first-round pick was Larry Jacobson. He was a phenomenal. He was an Outland Trophy winner for Nebraska. Phenomenal, really, really good defensive lineman for the Nebraska Cornhuskers. Nebraska Cornhuskers back in the early 70s were really good. I mean, he was the Outland Trophy winner, I believe, in 1971. The Giants drafted him in the 1972 draft. He played defensive tackle. His rookie season wasn't bad. He played, let me see, might have played in every game in 1972 for the Giants. But then after that, injuries started taking over. He started 9 games. He played in all 14. He had 4 sacks. Okay. Then the injuries started happening. Before the 73 season, I believe, he was at a pool. I think he stepped on some broken glass and it cut like a tendon in his foot. And he wound up so he played in 8 games. So he missed a bunch of time for the Giants in his second season because of the stepping on the broken glass. In his second season, his third season, I'm sorry, he started having trouble apparently with his back. Then he also had he got a sore on his foot. And apparently they missed a piece of broken glass. It was about almost an inch long that was in his foot. They missed it somehow. So his third season, he only played in 11 games because of the bad back and the piece of glass in his foot. Then it gets even worse. Then in 1975, he comes out for training camp. Okay, he did well in his rookie season. As a rookie, he had 4 sacks. He didn't do too bad, But 1975, he went and he in training camp he was was out there trying to make a tackle. I guess one of the rookie running backs, I'm not sure who it was, cut blocked him or chop blocked him. Took out his leg. Apparently, he said like 3 guys fell on him or something like that. He was under a pile. He wound up breaking his leg. Okay. And that wiped him out for that season. He went back for the 1976 season. He failed the physical and his career was over. He didn't even bother. That was it. He said when he broke his leg, he said basically they just moved the practice over like about 15 yards or so. Because he was kind of like in the way. So they moved practice over like 15 yards and he just kept practice. He said he had to find his way. I think he got taken to the hospital in like an ambulance or something. But after they set his leg and all, something, he had to find his way home. He said the coach, at the time, which it would have been Bill Arnsparger, never even contacted him. Nothing. I mean, could you imagine that nowadays? A guy, nobody like contacts you. You got to find your own way home from the hospital after you break a leg. I mean, what a joke. What an absolute joke. But so our 2 first-round picks in 1972 played like 6 seasons. But, I mean, we had 2 of them. You figure you'd hit it out of the park maybe with 1 of them. Nope. There was 3 other guys, in that class who made it into the NFL. There was 17 rounds. The Giants had they had 2 first-round picks, 2 third-round picks, 2 fifth-round picks, 10, 11, 12. I mean, they had almost like 20 picks, and only 5 of them made it in the NFL. We had 2 first-round picks, and both, I can't say Jacobson was a bust because of his injuries, right? But he only played 3 seasons. He played in grand total of 33 games. Eldridge Small played in grand total of 34 games, and he was just not good. He was not good. The only thing that makes his draft class any good at all was in the 3rd round. We took John Mendenhall from Grambling State. He wound up playing from 1972 to 1979 with the Giants. His final season, he played in the Detroit Lions in 1980. But he was one of my favorite Giants of all time, number 64. He was short. He was like 6'1". He was like 250 pounds. He was very strong, very low built to the ground. He was like a fire plug, right? Hustled his rear end off all the time. He had some injuries, but he was one of my favorite Giants, period, of all time. The Giants drafted Tom Gatewood in the 5th round. He did really. He was like an All-American wide receiver for Notre Dame. He wound up playing 2 seasons. He played in 17 games. I don't think he ever caught a pass. He never caught a pass. Played 17 games. Now, I mean, obviously that could have been like on special teams, but we drafted him in the 5th round. He was an All-American, and he never even caught a pass. We drafted John Hill in the 6th round. Okay, he was a center. He played 3 seasons for the Giants, and then he had a lengthy career. He played from 72 to 1985. And the thing was, after I think from 85, from 75 to 84. Was it 75? Yes, from 75 to 84. So for 10 years, he played for the Saints. He played a ton of games with the Saints, okay? But he only played 3 years with the Giants, right? So 72, the reason why 72, it was just so bad is because we had 2 first-round picks, and both of them, you can kind of say they were kind of busts. That's what really made this. And I said, then we had like 20 picks altogether, right? Or almost like 19 picks, and only 5 of them made it in the NFL. So 14 picks never even played in the NFL. Horrible, horrible draft class. The 4th worst class, okay, of all time would be the 1957, okay, draft class. This one would be what probably higher than 4, worse than 4. But if not for drafting a Hall of Famer, okay, there was 30 rounds, and it looks like 15, 11, 12. We didn't have a 12th rounder for whatever reason. We didn't have a first rounder. Okay, that might have been, it could have been maybe I know we did some trading back. It could have been for Andy Robustelli we traded for. So we didn't have a first rounder, okay, but out of the looks like 27 or 28 picks they had, 3 of them made it in the NFL. 3, right? So they had, say, 28 picks. They missed on 25 of them. 25 never even played in the NFL. They I guess they came to camp or for whatever, and they never played it down in the NFL. Unbelievable. Their 2nd round pick, okay, Sam DeLuca was a guard. He had a nice career. He played till 1966, but none of it was with the Giants. Somehow, I don't know exactly what the situation was. They drafted him at 57. He didn't play his first game until 1960, which was in the AFL. He played for the Los Angeles Chargers, and then 61. And then they went to the San Diego. Then became the San Diego Chargers. Then he finished his career 64, 65, and 66 with the New York Jets. So our first pick ever, but our first pick in the 57 draft was Sam DeLuca, a guard, and he never even played it down for the Giants. Okay. Our 8th round pick, Johnny Bookman. There you go. Remember him? He was a defensive back. All right. He played till 1961. All right. He played 1 season with the Giants. 1. All right. Left defensive halfback. He was our starter for 1957. I'm not sure what happened to him, but 58 and 59, he never played. Okay. Then he wound up being the Kansas City Chiefs of the AFL. Okay. I like this here. 1960, he was with the Detroit Texans. The Dallas Texans, who became eventually the Kansas City Chiefs. He was there from 1960. In 1961, he played with the New York Titans, who became the New York Jets, right? But so that pick for the Giants, okay, he played 1 year with the Giants. Okay, so that's our 57 draft class. Sam DeLuca was our 2nd round pick, never played for the Giants. Our 8th round pick, Johnny Bookman, played 1 season with the Giants. This one would have been higher or worse on the list, if you guys want to say, if it wasn't for our drafting Don Maynard in the 9th round. Okay, now he played till 1973. He's a Hall of Famer. He played 1 season with the Giants in 1958. His last game with the Giants might have been his last play ever with the Giants. Was in the 1958 championship game. It was in overtime. The Colts kicked off to the Giants. He's under the because remember back then the goalposts were on the goal line. Okay. So he was standing like by the goal line, right by where the goalposts are at. The kick came short. He comes running up and he tries to catch it on the run. Right. It was like around the 10-yard line. The ball goes through his hands. He fumbles it. He picks it up and he runs out to about the 20 and he gets tackled. I think that was his last play ever with the New York Giants. The following season, Don Maynard was in the CFL. Was it the Argonauts? I think it was the Toronto Argonauts he played with here, let me say. Oh, my bad. The Hamilton Tiger Cats of the Canadian Football League in 1959. 1960, he goes to the Titans, okay? So from 1960 and then in 1963, they became the Jets, okay? So 60, 61, and 62, he's with the New York Titans. 63, they turn into the Jets, okay? And then he continues his career with the Jets until 1972. 1973, he plays in 2 games with the St. Louis Cardinals, and he has 1 reception in 2 games in 1973. But he had a 13-year career with the Titans/Jets. But so this class would have been worse, all right, if not that we drafted actually a Hall of Famer. Now, I mean, could you imagine? I mean, the Giants had kept him. I mean, during the 60s, without question. I mean, we could have used, without question, a good wide receiver, right? But it's a shame. I mean, the Giants couldn't see his value, couldn't see his strengths. I guess all they saw was his weaknesses, and they just, for whatever reason, just letting him go. And he wound up becoming a Hall of Famer with the New York Jets. So the 1957 draft class was absolutely horrible, right? Only 3 guys made it, but one of them, as I said, it would have been worse, but one of the guys wound up being actually a Hall of Famer. The 1970 draft class is the 3rd worst of all time, okay? Now this one, it's pretty bad. Our first pick, Jim Files, okay, from Oklahoma, middle linebacker, number 58. He wound up being a very good middle linebacker. The problem was he only played 4 seasons. During the 73 season, he said his heart wasn't into it. He just kind of, I don't know. He just didn't feel like playing anymore. And 73 was his last season. And after that, he retired and became like he was either a priest or a minister after that. But so we drafted him first round out of Oklahoma, middle linebacker. So he played 4 seasons with the Giants, and that was our number 1 pick, and then became a priest or a minister. Our 4th round pick was Wes Grant. Okay. He played until 1973. All right. But none of it was with the Giants. He didn't play. We drafted him in the 1970 season. He never actually played in the 70 season. He played 1971. We played with Buffalo and the Chargers. 72, he played with the Browns. In 73, he played with the Oilers, and he was out. He played in the grand. So we drafted this guy, and he played in a grand total of 11 games. 11 games. Oh, there is my buddy. Wes Grant, our 4th round pick, played in 11 games, and he was out. And he didn't play one down with the New York Giants. Our 9th round pick was Pat Hughes. Now, there was 17 rounds, okay? So out of 17 rounds, the Giants didn't have a 2nd round pick, didn't have a 3rd round pick, didn't have a 7th or an 8th round pick. So they were missing a bunch of picks, okay? But out of 17 rounds, they only came up with 3 guys who played in the NFL. One of them didn't even play for the Giants. Our 1st round pick only played 4 seasons, okay? But our 9th round pick was Pat Hughes. He wound up playing from the Giants from 1970 to 1976. He was an outside linebacker. He was a decent linebacker. Nothing super spectacular. I believe he was number 56. He finished his career 77, 78, and 79 with the Saints. Okay. So he had a little lengthy career. He played from 70 to 79. All right. But basically, at 17 rounds, he had about 12 or 13 picks. Only 3 guys out of those 13 made it in the NFL, and only 2 of them out of the 12 picks or 13, I didn't count, actually played for the Giants, okay? And our 1st round pick only played 4 seasons. It's like a recurring thing. I mean, 1969, Fred Dreyer had a long career. He played to 1981, 69 to 81. Giants drafted him. He hated playing in New York, did not want to be in New York. He played 3 seasons in New York. 1970, we had Jim Files. He only played 4 seasons, period. 1971, we had drafted one of the biggest busts of all time, Rocky Thompson. He played 3 seasons in the NFL, and that was it. 1972, we had 2 first-round picks. Both of them were kind of busts. 1973, we didn't have a first-round pick. 1974, we drafted John Hicks, who only played, I believe, 4 seasons for the Giants. 1975, we didn't have a first-round pick because we traded away for Craig to get Craig Morton, for the quarterback for the Cowboys. 1976, we drafted Troy Archer, who was a very good defensive tackle, but he only played a couple seasons because he died in an automobile accident. I mean, we had some real misses on our first rounders, real misses. Things like that can't happen nowadays. I mean, they happen nowadays like that. Your team's in a lot of trouble. Okay. The second worst draft class of all time, the 1945 draft class. We're going back in time here, right? What makes this one so bad? Oh, yeah, we got all right. 32 rounds. 5 guys made it in the NFL. Okay, our first oh my God. Our first pick, Elmer Barber, okay, all right, 1945, first-round pick, played 3 games in the NFL, our first-round pick. His career was over. Our 6th-round pick, Barney Poole, the defensive end, drafted him in the 6th round of 1945. I know he never played for the Giants. He played for the Giants in 1954. So the Giants drafted him in 45. He didn't play for the Giants until 1954, which is his last season in the NFL. I mean, all right, let's see who we got here. Jack Mead, the 7th-round pick, okay? We drafted him. He played a grand total of 20 games in the NFL. Drafted him in 45. He played until 1947. And he only played 20. He played 2 seasons. Played 1946 and 1947. He played 20 games for the Giants in the NFL. Jack Mead, okay, an end. All right, then we got Jim Little. We drafted him in 1945 in the 16th round. He played 3 games, and his career was over. Sam Vacanti, a quarterback. We drafted him in the 21st round. Okay, he played, I think it said 39 games, but not one of them was the Giants. He didn't play 1 game with the Giants, right? So we drafted like 5 guys, I think, that made it. Our first round pick played 3 games, and our 16th round guy played 3 games, and one of the other guys played for the Giants. I mean, it was just horrible. And it was 32 rounds, and they only came up with 5 guys and 32 picks that actually made it in the NFL. And 2 of those guys only played 3 games, and their career was over. Freaking unbelievable. That was the 1945. The worst one, okay, this one kind of stands pat here. The worst one, okay, is the 1967 draft. Now, to be fair with this 1967 draft, okay, that's how many rounds were there? Was it 67? There were 17 rounds, okay? To be fair, the Giants didn't have their first 3 round picks, okay? I know their first 2 they traded away for to get Fran Tarkenton, okay, from the Minnesota Vikings. So that's why they didn't have, I was trying to find out why they didn't have a 3rd round pick. I couldn't find it. I'm sure if I dig deep enough, maybe I can find it. But in the 1967 draft, they have 17 rounds, okay? Out of all the picks, they came up with 2 guys that played pro football. Only one of them actually played for the New York Giants. So this is the worst one. 17 rounds, they only got 1 guy that played for the New York Giants. Imagine having a whole draft class. Imagine getting a whole draft, 17 rounds. Nowadays, could you imagine that? And only 1 guy actually plays for the team? Wow. Scott Eaton, our 8th round pick, played from 1967 to 1971. I think he had 11 interceptions, was it? Yeah, 11 interceptions. He had, I think, 3 fumble recoveries. He was a decent, nothing super spectacular by any stretch of imagination. Where was he from? Oregon State. Was he number 21 or 22? I think he was. But I mean, nothing super spectacular. But he played 5 seasons for the Giants. He was our 8th round pick. That's bothering me. Yeah. But the other guys, in 1967, there was only 2 guys, okay, that actually played in the NFL that the Giants drafted. Okay, he was number 20. Okay, number 20. All right. So the only other guy the Giants drafted in the 1967 draft that actually played in the NFL was our 5th round pick, Dave Lewis. He was a quarterback from Stanford. Okay, never played for the Giants. Drafted in 1967. He actually played 4 seasons in the NFL. Okay, it wasn't until he didn't start playing. I'm not sure why he didn't play 67, 68, or 69, but he didn't start playing until 1970. Okay, now, so maybe he was on the practice squads of some teams or whatever, but he didn't start playing. He played with the Cincinnati Bengals for 4 seasons from 1970 to 1973. He was drafted as a quarterback, but he wound up being a pretty good punter. Let me tell you, 1970, he got drafted as a quarterback. He led the NFL, first team All-Pro, bold, a league leader. So I'm not sure if that was the NFL or if that was just the AFL he led the league in. But punting average, 1970, he was a first team All-Pro. 1970 as a punter, and he got drafted as a quarterback by the Giants. And the Giants could have used a punter. He had 46.2 yards average in 1970. 1971, once again, he led the league at a 44.8 yard average. Very, very, very good. But, the Giants drafted him as a quarterback. He wound up playing as a punter, okay? And he never even played it down for the New York Giants. So the 1967 draft class, I'm going to give it, it goes both ways because our first 2 picks we used to get Fran Tarkenton, okay? So it's maybe a little misleading, maybe if you want to call it that, but the guys that they drafted at 17, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, they had 12 picks. Out of the 12 picks, only one of them actually played for the New York Giants. They had 2 guys played football. 10 of them never played football. Okay, and one of them played football for another team. The 1967 draft class, absolutely only one guy played for the New York Giants, Scott Eaton, right? Horrible draft class. But that was one of the problems that the Giants had. Good teams back then built through the draft, like the Pittsburgh Steelers. Chuck Noll got in there, right? And they just had some good drafts going on, right? They drafted 1969. They had Mean Joe Green. 1970 drafted Terry Bradshaw. 1972 Franco Harris. 1974 the greatest draft class in the history. They drafted 4 Hall of Famers: Mike Webster, Lynn Swann, John Stallworth, and who's the other one? Jack Lambert. 4 Hall of Famers. Right. So, they good draft classes. Each year they added a little piece to the puzzle. They kept it, unlike the way it is nowadays, they kept the team together because you could do that back then. Each year they added a couple pieces to the puzzle. Each year they kept the team together. And each year they got a little better, a little bit better, a little bit better. And that's why they were a freaking dynasty in the 70s. The Cowboys were the same thing. The Cowboys were very, very good at drafting. Right. The Giants were not. That's why the Giants, they just stunk. They couldn't replenish the team. One way they could try to get good talent was they would trade away their draft picks. They would try to trade away draft picks to get talent. But when it came to, they could not replenish the stock. They could not replenish the team because they were horrible drafting. The 60s, the 70s were horrible, right? It wasn't until like the 1979, when George Young came the general manager. All right. That's when they started getting some good draft. They started adding little pieces to the puzzle each year. They were able to keep the team together. And each year they added a little piece to the puzzle. And that's why they want to be so good in the 80s. But in the 60s and the 70s, they could not draft. That's why the Giants were just absolutely horrible teams back then. That's why it goes to show you how important the draft is nowadays. But it's so different the way it was back then, where it is right now. I said, if some of these draft classes here wind up being like they are right now, you draft, you go 7-8 rounds, and none of the guys make the team, you're gonna fire the whole scouting department. Oh yeah, it's just different game. But well, guys, it's been 40 minutes. Anybody spent any time watching me? Thank you so much. If anybody spends any time watching the replay this, once again, thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. It means the world to me. It really, really does. And as always, guys, you guys stay safe out there and go Giants. Woo!